This is the Renegade Teacher blasting out with another transmission. If you can hear me, I have re-established a connection with Earth. I've emerged from the dark side of the moon, ready to take on the new week with vigor and with energy that I've been building up. And I believe that tonight, with tonight's rant, I need to inform you that the situation is so bad that I had to put on duty extra staff aboard our starship to cover the potential emergency medical services that I may require tonight. I'll tell you what, folks. When you become a renegade, and you confront the nonsense that you confront as a renegade teacher, you certainly have to be sure to try to put a limit on how far you let yourself go down the rabbit hole. I want to start tonight with a Reddit post that I found, and it is quite old. It's from about 5 years ago, but I think you're going to be interested to hear what this person has to say. It certainly will it certainly will enlighten you as to how horribly blind someone can be. And when it comes to teaching, as professionals who like to be proud of what they do, this is something that we need to all make sure we've heard. So this person wrote the title of their post, I think teaching is an easy job compared to others, and the notion that teachers are underpaid is laughable. United States only, in parentheses. It's not a very long post, but I'll read the important parts. They write, the average teacher makes between 40 and 45 grand a year. This does not include state benefits, which are usually well above average compared to similar paying non-state jobs. Teaching as a job has very few heavy stress qualities. Stop right there. I don't know what dimension of ignorance this person is from. But if you're here to start off early in your post with teaching has very few stress qualities, I'm not sure, are we being trolled? If we're being trolled here, let me know. But I believe this person is serious, because while they do somewhere in here have a few semi-valid points, listen to how stupid this actually gets. They say it has no travel. You will never be called in the middle of the night for an emergency. There are no swing shifts, flex shifts, etc. Despite what media may have you believe, schools are one of the safest places in America. Teachers do not work in the business of saving or taking lives. There are very few deadlines that a teacher needs to meet. There is no threat to loss of life. It has no manual labor. This is a list of reasons why this person thinks that teaching is actually not underpaid and has an appropriate compensation scale for what teachers are tasked with doing. And what's truly sad is one of the comments in response to this vomit. They put this person in their place in a way. However, what they do is they point out that this person is describing what a poor educator someone who is entrenched in the system, who is either due to teachers unions or for some other reason is not being removed. They're not doing their job, and the system is failing to remove them because they are ineffective. And that's what this person is actually talking about. What's unbelievable about this is that they're projecting. So to the author, I state, you should not become a teacher. I'm glad that you are not an educator, because if it were all people like you tasked with educating the youth of our country, we would be in an even bigger world of hurt than we are. If it weren't for the people sacrificing their energy and sacrificing their souls and their health to do their job in the face of all the bullshit, of all the ridiculous, relentless streams of responsibilities that come up, you've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. I didn't want to end up in the cuff quite this early in tonight's rant, but it may be worth using the cuff and transitioning a bit, because this is a good segue into the discussion that about the teacher evaluation system. If you want to look at the teacher evaluation system, it's going to be hard to do that without perhaps some Dramamine or a bottle of whiskey, because I tend to get very fired up when teachers are scored, and their jobs are often, most people don't realize this, but in truth, teachers' jobs are on the line when it comes to the teacher evaluation system. If it works the way it's intended to work, shitty teachers will be removed. So how do we do that? How have the powers that above, how have they determined the best way to do that? Well, right now, as far as I've seen, it looks to me like most states base the teacher evaluation system, again, which is public information that anyone can look up about any public educator, and they base it on formal observations done by the administrators, and they base it on the something like an SLO, a student learning objective system, where the teachers do a pre-test at the beginning of the year or the semester to measure how much of the content to be taught that year the students already know. And then as the year progresses, they often do a mid-year evaluation, and then a final post-test at the end to determine whether or not the students have achieved a meaningful amount of difference in their score to meet a growth target. And to be completely honest, this is the system here is not measuring what it's intended to measure. It's too easily gamed. The administrators and teachers see through the bullshit here, and so do the students. When you look at formal observations, and I've had quite a few of these done. You know, I've several years in the profession, having these formal observations. These administrators come into the room, and you know, nowadays it's not even just administrators. Now we found these things, these other roles, these other nebulous roles to give people, so that they can come in and try to use some formalized very unbelievable, complex rubric to score educators in so many categories that it would take hours just to fully read and consider, make all these decisions that they're asked to make about every single teacher in their building. I don't care what you tell me. You've got to be joking here. And to be honest, I thought I would bless you with something I found when I did a Google search for the teacher, just a general Google search for the teacher evaluation formal observation rubric. And I didn't include a state, so I just did a search for it and found the first hit was the teacher growth rubric from the Mississippi Department of Education. And as I opened this document, this PDF, I immediately figured it all out. I had an epiphany, and I realized immediately what is wrong with the system. It is a 44-page encyclopedia of a bunch of ridiculously complex, overblown stupidity. To be completely honest, while the idea is sound, of doing teacher evaluations in the same vein of thought here, while there is some validity to doing this for newer teachers, you cannot be serious that administrators are asked to do this for everyone. This is unbelievable that they have this put on their plate at the same time of having to fulfill so many other roles in the building. And you can't be serious when you're trying to tell me that when an administrator comes into a room and they have this inevitable observer effect on the room, the students aren't acting the way that they normally do, the teacher isn't acting the way that they normally do. What the hell is the point of doing this to the degree that it's done, and putting people under this is so unbelievable. This is so ridiculous. I can't process why we need so much descriptive paperwork it's 44 pages. This is 44 pages, and the only thing that it accomplishes is telling an administrator how to walk into a classroom and evaluate one of their teachers, one of the public servants who has agreed to sacrifice themselves in so many ways to attempt to convey excitement for learning to young people. And we have this garbage, this absolute nonsense. I'm sick of it. I'm completely sick of it. This is the kind of stuff that ends up making me bust a spring. This is the kind of stuff that ends up getting me a prescription for methocarbamol. This is unbelievable. Unbelievable. We cannot continue. We cannot take any more of this. We cannot. We have to find our voice. We have to reveal the truth. Look at the SLO system. Look at how hackable it is. Look at how teachers can design their assessments in a way that are easily hackable for making growth targets appear to have been met. There's not enough oversight. While in theory the system is good, it's insulting because any good teacher is doing a growth target type system anyways. It's oftentimes called scaffolding, or as I like to call it, teaching. If someone is using common sense to teach to young people, to not make any assumptions about what they already do or don't know, to not take anything for granted, and to do their job as they were trained while they were getting their 4 years of education post high school, their 4-year bachelor's degree. Let them do their damn job. Stop trying to measure it from above when you've already trained the professionals to measure it from below and within. This is sickening. This is disgusting bullshit. I'm done. On top of all of it, on top of all of the teacher evaluation system nonsense, there's always this one-way responsibility train, these movements upward with the amount of stuff put on teachers' plates. It's disgusting. It makes you want to vomit. Yet we have these people now being sent into classrooms. These instructional coaches, here's a challenge for you. Google instructional coach. If you really want to know one of the big problems, you can't find a definition for it. It's this nebulous nonsense. These drawn out theoretical ideas. On certain situations, an instructional coach does X, Y, and Z, and all these other things. I'll tell you what we've ended up with. We've ended up with a bloated support staff system. That's the main problem. These rubrics that administrators are sent in with for these formal observations, they're unbelievable. I challenge you to try to read one. I challenge you to read one and imagine what it would be like to try to dedicate as much attention as that would be needed to truly make all of the considerations that someone would have to make for this. It's disgusting. It's so many pages of bullshit. Here in the Mississippi Teacher Evaluation Guide, it's divided into domains. Of course, we love that word. Domain 1, lesson design. And we're looking at 4 different criteria with various levels of descriptions that have to be considered by this administrator. It's unrealistic. It's unbelievable. I cannot fully process it. And again, it just goes on and on and on as you scroll through it. Domain 2, student understanding. Assist students in taking responsibility for learning and monitor student learning. It goes on and on. The teacher provides multiple ways for students to make meaning of content, and it's just expounded upon the criteria. Domain 3, culture and learning environment. Unbelievable, disgusting amount of who is getting paid to make this? I challenge you to read it. Look it up. Teacher evaluation, formal observation rubric. And your first hit, you will immediately reach for a cuff as you try to make it through all of the vomit, all of the, there's a notes page. There's a notes page in here, as if someone is going to print this out and actually have time to read it and write notes with a pencil on this paper because they have so much time. They're not doing anything else except reading this PDF document. There's no students being caught doing anything wrong. Every administrator is going to have time to do. This is ridiculous. This is enough to send me over the edge to think that teachers are being put under this false science. This is fake. This is a bunch of fake nonsense. These people are just having to jump through the hoops to survive, and I've had enough of it. I have had enough of it. This is the end. This is why this kind of stuff is why it's time to escape. Many of the world's educators have run for the hills. They've run for the master's degrees to get out of the classroom, which has led to an oligarchy of support staff, and it's all being fed by a college crime syndicate that is hell-bent on sucking all the tuition money out of society that's possible, giving people this false hope that they'll reach happiness by getting a degree, and we've got a failed public education system that has so many problems that if we don't start to face up and be honest about how a lot of the nonsense we've discussed tonight and before on my channel, of how it is all actually harmful instead of helpful. We've talked about how character traits are what are important. It's truly shocking. It's truly shocking how bad of a situation that we are in. Again, this is the end of public education as we know it, and as bad as it is to have to tell you that, as bad as it is, I have to come back to the point of remembering that I enjoy the process of actually teaching a lesson, of seeing the look on a student's face when they do something and they get a correct answer that they previously did not think that they were capable of getting. And again, having those moments are the only thing keeping any true teacher, any high quality teacher in the profession right now. But what's truly sad is that is being squashed out. That is being taken down by all of the nonsense, all of the fake science that is portrayed by these rubrics that attempt to take something that's qualitative in nature and turn it into a quantitative measurement. It's simply fake science, and it's time to expose it. It's time to speak up. It's time to grow a pair, and it's time to tell the truth and to affect change. I'm glad you joined me on the Starship tonight. I'm really glad to have made it back into range. Again, this journey is just getting started, and I am honored. I'm honored to be your captain on our quest through the stars for that rationality in public education that we so much need to find. It is imperative. Our mission is so important. We cannot afford to fail. Everything is on the line, and I believe that we can win. So if you have enjoyed tonight's content, I would greatly appreciate it if you would support the channel and subscribe to it. Officially become a subscriber. Don't forget to like the video as well, which is the equivalent of taking the red pill, agreeing to be okay with everything not being okay, agreeing to be realistic with ourselves and honest with ourselves when assessing how effective we and our colleagues truly are being when when we do our jobs, and just being down to earth. This is a grassroots movement. Again, join up, become a renegade, become a passenger on this journey with me. It's been I've been honored to be your captain tonight, and I look forward to seeing you during the next transmission. This is Renegade Teacher out.